Hey Becca, are you a dog person or a cat person? She's obviously a dog person. How can she not be? They're pure love. Hey, cats are pure love too. Maybe she's a cat person. Actually, I'm neither. Evil! Shun the non-lover! Well, it's just, I love rodents. What? Yeah. Mice, rats, gerbils, chinchillas, squirrels, and most of all, hamsters. Like lots of kids, I grew up with pet hamsters. I loved every single one of them. They're cute, of course, but they're also sweet and intelligent. It always amazed me how they have designated spots in their cages for food, sleep, and potty time. They're so clean and organized. Most of them were friendly and let me hold them. Spending time with them was so stress-relieving. Watching them climb and explore was more fun than any TV show. I did have a few biters, so I didn't get to hold them, but I still adored them. My life was still that much better because I had a cute little friend to love, and just being near them made me so happy. At school, we often had to do research projects, where we'd research a topic and present what we learned to the class, and I chose hamsters every single time. I remember once our teacher announced to the class that we were doing a research project next, and had each student decide on the topic right then and there so she could write them down. When it was my turn to announce mine, I proudly said, "Hamsters!" and a bunch of kids groaned. Usually, I was very timid and I would have panicked at making anyone upset for any reason, but instead I had to hide my grin as I thought, "That's right, you're going to hear all about hamsters all over again and you're going to like it." I loved every single one of them, but I must admit that I did have a favorite. Her Royal Majesty, Princess Peppermint. Of all my hamsters, she had the biggest personality. All hamsters like exploring, but Peppermint demanded at least 12 hours of playtime outside of her cage every single day. I had to hurry home from work every evening, knowing Peppermint was awake and angrily waiting for me to let her out. I was once drawing on the floor when Peppermint waltzed in, knocked over my water, then turned around and left. It's like she was thinking, "That's what you get for taking so long to get home today." She loved her hamster ball, and she especially loved running along the wall, back and forth, with the ball scraping against the wall the whole time. She would do that for hours. Hamsters don't usually learn tricks or come when you call them, but whenever she escaped from her cage or ball, I'd find her and say, "Okay, your little adventure is over. Come here, Peppermint. Let's go back in your cage. Come on." And she'd run right into my hands without hesitation. She escaped all the time, but catching her was never a problem. One time, after cleaning out her cage, she was running back and forth against the wall, totally in the zone, happy as a bumblebee, when I leaned down with my hands open and said, "Come here, Peppermint, I've got a clean cage for you." And she made a beeline straight for my hands. She ran around her clean cage for a few minutes, messing up everything, then wanted back out again. Of course. She never bit anyone, but there was one time when my little sister had some friends over and they wanted to meet Peppermint. One of them was her ex-boyfriend, and I wasn't fond of him. Apparently Peppermint wasn't either, and when it was his turn to hold her, she peed all over him. I apologized, put her back in her cage, and took him to the bathroom to clean up, but later I whispered, "Good job, Peppermint. That's my baby." Everyone loved her. When she was playing in her hamster ball, she'd run up to people and they'd say, "Aw, she's just like a puppy." My baby brother has never been affectionate, but he loved Peppermint so much. He'd hold her often and ask me, "Did you feed her today? Is her water clean? When's the last time you cleaned her cage? Did she get to play today?" It was so sweet to see that side of him. My nieces and nephews adored her. Every time they visited, they wanted to see her and play with her. I'd instruct them all to be quiet, slow, gentle, and careful, and to remember that she isn't a toy. Despite how careful they all were, I still wouldn't blame an animal if they got scared by a bunch of squealing little kids. Still, Peppermint never once got scared or bit any of them. I was so proud of all of them, including Peppermint. Okay, so here's the story you've been waiting for. The day my hamster broke my door. Peppermint was running around in her hamster ball as usual. I got up to use the bathroom and closed the door behind me with Peppermint running around. When I tried to go back into my room, my door would only open a few inches. I looked through the little spaces between the hinges and saw that Peppermint was blocking the door and was looking straight up at me with a completely serious face, like she was thinking, "Nope, My room now. Peppermint, I said. Please move. Let me in, please. She just kept staring me down, still as a statue. I closed the door to give her a chance to move, waited for a minute, tried again, and she was still in that same spot, still glaring up at me. So I closed the door and left again, got some food, did a chore, then came back 10 minutes later, and she was still there. She wasn't stuck, there was nothing behind her. Peppermint, move! I hated being so stern with my baby, but I was hoping I could startle her into moving. Nope, didn't budge. I tried blowing on her. Move! Please, Peppermint! Let Mommy in! She was as firm and immovable as a mountain. I was fighting with the hamster and losing. I didn't know what else to do at that point, so I decided to squeeze through the door. I was expecting her ball to crack a little, and then she'd have to stay in her cage until I could buy her a new ball tomorrow. That's her punishment for barricading me out of my own room. But instead, as I was pushing my way past the barely open door, the hamster ball remained perfectly intact, and the door hinges tore off the frame, and my door fell onto the floor. And Peppermint remained in that exact same spot, with that exact same expression, as though she was thinking, "Ha! Take that!" As time went on, her big, sassy personality grew smaller. She didn't demand as much playtime. Her energy decreased a little more every day. She stopped running and jumping around her cage, and she wasn't eating as much as she used to. Being over 2 years old, she was now a little old lady hamster. She even had gray fur behind her ears. One day, I noticed that she was breathing hard when she slept, and she was struggling to move around her cage to get food and water. I told everyone that her time was coming, and to be sure to hold her one more time before she goes. My baby brother was stoic as usual while holding her for the last time, but I could tell it was hard for him to tell her goodbye. My nieces and nephews pet her softly, telling her that they loved her. We were all prepared for her to leave, but it still hurt when it finally happened. I woke up one day to find she had passed in the night. When the kids came to see her, I told them she was already gone and buried, and they sobbed all day. The hardest thing about loving an animal is eventually having to part from them. The older kids understood this, but their 2-year-old cousin didn't. Months after Peppermint passed away, she'd still walk around calling out, "Peppa! Peppa!" It's amazing how such a tiny life can have such a big impact. Rest in peace, my darling. Thank you for all the joy you brought us.